Hello everyone. In our today's session, we will learn and explore regarding the rules which are used in workflow. Let me give you a brief regarding this particular document. Through this session, we will be learning about the rules which have been used under SAP Business Workflow. And this particular session and the document is been prepared to give the beginners a brief idea regarding the rules under SAP Business Workflow. It also contains basics of rules and also shows how and where these rules can be applied in the workflow with necessary screenshots. So let me take you through the course content of this session. So here under this first we'll see the definition regarding the rules in workflow. Then we'll see the difference between the rules and roles which are used in workflow. Then we'll explore regarding rule basics, rule container, standard rules and rule resolution. Further, we'll see how do we define the rules using functions, which are the function modules to be executed. Under that, we will see the use of the function modules and the procedure behind that. Further, we'll see the definition regarding the agent determination rule. Under that, we'll see about rule category agent determination responsibilities. And last, we'll see about rule resolution based on evaluation path. So these are the topics which we would be covering through this session of rules under workflow. So let us see the definition of rules. Workflow rules allows us to define and enforce an issue handling process. Rules allow us to specify data at runtime according to the template defined at definition time. Together with email notifications, workflow rules helps us to automate the tracking and management of the issues. So here, with the help of these rules under workflow, it helps us to define and enforce the issues handling processes. Also, it helps us to automate the tracking and management process of the issues which are occurred under workflows. So this was a simple definition behind the rules under workflows. Now, let us see the difference between rules and roles. Now, first, under rule, we have a point which states that rule is a general way to define the agents and a role is a general way to assign the agents. So under a rule we define the agents, but roles are used to assign those agents to the workflow. A rule is maintained with transaction code PFAC and is used to programmatically define the agents. But here role is been maintained with transaction code PFCG and is usually assigned to a user. Now since here under role we need to assign the agents, we will usually assign that to a user ID. Now let us see the example for each of them. Under rule, if we want a work item to go to all the managers who worked for the company for 5 years or more, then we would be creating a rule that handles this custom scenario. Typically, this is done by creating a custom function module that performs the selection logic and passes the results back to the rule. So here, this particular custom scenario can be done with the help of a rule, where we want that all the work items which are there should go to the members or the managers who worked for the company for 5 years or more than that. So this kind of rule can be generated with the help of PFAC transaction code. Now, what would be there under the case of a role? Like for example, you can have the role of a ABAP_developer and assign this role to all the users who are developer. So this is a good method to use if you want all the developers to receive a workflow work item. Now here under the case of a role, if we want that all the developers which are there should have the ABAP_developer role, then this can be possible with the help of transaction code PFCG, where we can maintain a role and which could be assigned to the users who are developers. So these two examples denotes the different use and the scenarios regarding rule and role. And the last difference is we can define a container element that contains the object of organizational management at runtime or a rule for dynamic agent determination. But in case of a role, we can specify not only a system user but also a role or an object of organizational management such as position, job, org unit or a work center. So here in rules, we define container elements which contains org management objects, but here under role we can specify not only system user but also role depending upon the org management. So these are the three differences which have been defined under rules and roles which have been used under workflows. So here rules generally uses transaction code PFAC to define the agents, and role generally uses transaction code PFCG to assign the data, that is the work items, to the users or the agents. So here we have seen about a small description regarding the rules in workflow and a difference between rules and roles which have been used to define the work items under the workflow.